All right, guys, we have Coach Walters here for you. So if you want to raise your hand to ask questions, I'll get you taken care of. All right, we'll start with Peter Ball.
Hi, Ryan. I guess what kind of things have you guys worked on these past 2 days?
Sorry, Peter, can't hear you, bro.
Oh. Can't hear me?
Put it on there, and then I did speaker.
Unmute your speakers. Other speakers muted.
Sean's computer.
All right, sorry,
There we go.
guys.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Can you
hear us,
talk
Peter?
talk now? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh man, can't hear you. I figured out my millennial self would be able to figure it out.
Head on speakers. I tested it before.
Try now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Look at that.
win for the millennials.
Coach Walters is the real MVP. All right.
Got it done. Yeah, I was just going to ask, what kind of things have you worked on these past few days or seen in film that could help kind of shore up the run game a little bit after last weekend?
Yeah, so last week in the 12T personnel group, where they brought in the 2 extra tackles, that gave us problems. I think we gave up like 80 yards in that set. The prior weeks that they had been in 12 personnel formations and ran regular 12 personnel plays. So I didn't anticipate it being an issue. And when they did that, it wasn't really a problem. It's when they sort of got in the heavy sets. We tried to get it correct on the sideline. And sometimes we did, and it wasn't an issue. And other times we did, and it hurt us. So I really made that a point of emphasis this week. And then just the little details of coverages on third downs and knowing where help is and knowing what leverage side you need to have in coverage. Those are all learning experiences for some of our younger guys. And then, we didn't make enough plays when we had opportunities to. I felt like we had 2, maybe 3 times to get interceptions, and it just didn't bounce our way. You know what I mean? And so don't want to get too down. Obviously, you want to learn from and correct mistakes and gain experience. But we have played the number 2 and number 14 team in the country, so we're gonna have to bring it every week. This is not a normal year for anybody involved in the SEC, and so we don't have room to try to figure things out on the fly. You know what I mean? We gotta as soon as the ball is kicked off, we gotta be ready to go. And from what I've seen in practice this week, I'm excited to go play Saturday.
All right, Jack Sobel, you can go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Martez Manuel said yesterday that even though they play different positions, there are some aspects of Nick Bolton's game that he looks to emulate. Is that something you've been seeing in his play so far?
I don't know if it's hard to emulate Nick Bolton, but I think just the effort and with which he plays and understanding what his job is, and he's a physical player like Nick is. That is a good guy to try to mimic his habits, his work ethic, and obviously Martez is a mature kid for his age, and so I'm not surprised that he's sought out counsel from an example like Nick Bolton on our team.
All right, Mitchell Forty.
Ryan, Coach Drinkwitz, and I think one of the players yesterday both mentioned that one of the things Tennessee did that gave you all some trouble was when they sped up the tempo. I'm curious, what kind of comes? What does that kind of come from? Is that just a result of not getting a ton of reps during the fall, and how do you all kind of address that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a combination of both. We've also, after last week, sort of scaled back some of the call sheet. I thought some of the times we were getting lined up late. Guys were just thinking, and that's on me as much as it is anybody. I got to do a good job of giving everybody what they can handle, and so we've practiced tempo this week. Both, we do it for a period a week against our offense, but just emulating it in scout team and at Rover, emphasizing it in some of the individual periods as well. Just the importance of being where you're supposed to be and having your eyes where they're supposed to be before the ball is snapped in order to give yourself a chance before the play even starts. So.
All right, Dave Matter.
Ryan, you've got 2 LSU games to study, but just how much of a challenge is to prepare for them since they've had just so much turnover since last year, from their coaches to their personnel? Yeah,
it's funny watching this year, the 2 games from this year and then all the games from a year ago. It does look like 2 different teams, but sort of same identity in terms of what personnels they're using, what formations, what their run pass ratio, the tempo, the check with me's, the DNA is the same. Some of the concepts are different, obviously different players. And so, there's give and take from both, you know what I mean? It's been sleepless nights for me just in terms of, trying not to chase ghosts, so to speak, and some of the stuff from a year ago, and trying to really harp on the things that they've done consistently the last 2 weeks. And, you just never know with how much practice time they've been able to have, coupled with how much time we've been able to have and who they've had available for practice like this. This is just it's a different deal, you know what I mean? So you got to be prepared for everything. In my opinion, you got to work on the things that hurt you from previous weeks so that if they're trying to copycat from teams that have had success against some of the things that we've done, make sure that you correct those. And so they're not issues moving forward. And then we got to do a great job of in-game adjustments. There's, like you said, there's just not a whole lot of catalog to study from in terms of who they are and what they've been able to put on the field this year.
All right, Gabe, go ahead.
Yeah, Ryan, you alluded to this a little bit, but Eli said yesterday when we asked him about the run defense in Tennessee, he mentioned just getting lined up and knowing your responsibility, almost things before the snap. How much of what you saw Saturday was execution and how much was just, preparation and kind of things unrelated to just once the play started?
I think it was a combination of both. There's plays where it's like, man, that should not have happened. You know what I mean? And there's other plays where it's like, okay, we have to have an answer for this. And so there's give and take on both of it. Anytime they rush for like 230 yards, you know what I mean? There's going to be issues and stuff all over the place, whether it's scheme or alignment or preparation or missed tackles or them making a play. I mean, it was the whole gamut. So what we've got to do is eliminate the stuff that we can control, and that's scheme, getting lined up, having our eyes in the right spot, and playing physical. I don't think our guys weren't playing physical. I've never questioned that. I've never questioned the effort or toughness. We just gotta get fine-tuned on the details. Like I said, we've addressed some of the schematic issues that I felt like were a problem.
All right, Ben Hoffman.
Hey, Ryan, just wanted to ask you about your defensive identity. Once you get things clicking, how do you want the defensive identity to be? How would you describe your goal for your defense?
Tight coverage, downhill in the run game. Difficult to double team and climb to the second levels from the offensive line. Communicative and playing hard. I think if you turn on the tape, I want people to say, man, those guys really run and they hit when they get there. That's the I don't know if I've ever watched a good defense and those not be the two main things. So, that's what we try to preach on a day in and day out basis. That's our theme is, when the ball snapped, we run and we hit.
All right, Ben Arnett.
Ryan, you talk about the DNA in the offense as a whole transferring over. When you look at quarterbacks specifically from Burrow to Brennan, do you see a lot transferring over, or is it a big difference?
I mean, Joe Burrow is lining up on Sundays right now. You know what I mean? That guy's a special player. There's, you watch the games from last season, and it looks like an NFL quarterback running an NFL system. You know what I mean? Obviously, the quarterback now he's not as experienced. It's hard to compare anybody to a Heisman winner in a first pick in the draft. You know what I mean? But he is a very good quarterback, and there's a reason why he's the starting quarterback at LSU, and he's played well, and so we got to do a good job of disguising coverages and not giving him the same look, snap in, snap out. Because if he knows where he's going with the ball, it's there, it's on target, it's on time, and he's got guys that'll go make plays for him. So just like every week that we're going to play, every team we're going to play, the trigger man is going to be a good player, and he's going to have guys that can go make plays. And it's every game, man. It's going to be a challenge and be competitive, and that's why you play in this league. And this season is going to be a fun one.
Suichi.
Ryan, you said last week just not to overreact after playing Bama, but I guess 3 straight, ranked opponents. How do you kind of differentiate just things you need to work on and still understanding that you are, going up against tough opponents?
Well, you go out and compete, and like I said earlier, you work on the things that you can control, which is alignment, assignment, keys, execution. And if you do those things, then, I think we can play with anybody. If you don't do those things, we can get beat by anybody. It's that simple. You got to be detailed and execute. And like I said, we didn't do that enough the past 2 weeks. But I think we're improving. We'll improve every week, and I'm excited to go play. Obviously, after the game last Saturday, I was hoping we had another game that following Sunday, just to get that taste out of your mouth. And felt like we did not play as well as I believe we should have or can. And so I'm excited for Saturday.
Andy Kimball.
Hi. I know it's only been 2 weeks, but with kind of that new outside linebacker position with Trey and him standing up, how have you kind of felt about what that position's given you guys on defense and how that position's played?
I mean, it's not really new. He did it a lot last year. We just defined it and put it on paper. You know what I mean? So, so far as Trey and Trajan, those guys were, Trey stood up most of the time last year. You know what I mean? We just kind of defined it this season.
And Jack Sobel.
Coach, with Chase and Jefferson gone from LSU, Terrence Marshall is kind of the one holdover, and he's played really well so far. When you watch his tape, what makes him so hard to defend?
Well, he's long, and he's more physical and bigger than you think he is, just watching the tape. And then he can really run. He's obviously savvy. He played a lot of ball last season and was very productive for him. He's on a team with an NFL receiver and a Bolitnikoff winner, and he still was very productive. And I remember him coming out of high school, and he was one of the top receivers coming out, and you could definitely tell why. So he's a special talent. I'm not surprised that they're featuring him and trying to get him the ball a lot of different ways. And we definitely have to know where he's at on the field every snap.
All right, that looks like it. Thank you, guys.
All right, appreciate you guys. Thanks, you guys.